Hello ladies and gents, welcome to Find It, Fix It, Flip It, episode number 2. So this is a series where I find faulty items, fix them and then flip them potentially to make profit. So if you haven't watched episode 1, then I highly recommend checking that out first. But this is episode number 2 and I have a little bit of good news, and that is that we are in the profit. So in episode 1, you may remember that I purchased a Xbox One S digital board, which was severely liquid damaged. Managed to fix that relatively cheap. And I also purchased a Xbox One 1TB with 3 controllers. The Xbox One S all digital board I've listed on eBay. Sadly, that hasn't sold yet. But the good news is the Xbox One original has sold. And I sold it with just one controller for £90. That's right, £90, £30 profit, and I still have 2 of the controllers remaining. So that means we have assets, we have cash in the bank, and we also have more items to fix. So without further ado, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Find It, Fix It, Flip It is proudly sponsored by PCBWay.com. PCBWay is the all-in-one solution for custom printed circuit boards, flexible printed circuit boards, SMD stencils, and even CNC and 3D printing. PCBWay are also proud to announce that until the 30th of November 2021, they're holding their 4th PCB design contest. This design contest is focused on Internet of Things and robotics, and it's completely free to enter. Entrants can win up to $6,000 in prizes, with first place getting $1,500, a $200 coupon and a Raspberry Pi 4G. Head over to the link in the video description to learn more or to submit your entry. So let's just do a quick breakdown here of what's been going on. So we started with a £100 starting budget on the 8th of September, and I purchased the Xbox One S digital motherboard for £24.99. It cost £2.71 in parts according to my DigiKey orders, and I haven't sold that yet, so we are negative on that right now. I also purchased the Xbox One 1TB plus the 3 controllers for £60. That sold for £90, as you can see here. I have 2 controllers remaining, and I've purchased an Xbox One S 1TB for a total of £37.95. This is on eBay. I've also purchased a bunch of Nintendo Switch official docks, which has just ended, and they went for a total with postage of £26.57, leaving us with a total cash in the bank of £40.49. That is not including parts costs. So if we work this out, we have total cash in hand of £40.49, and then we deduct the total part cost, so £2.71, and also £2.43. That is for the chips and components on the digital motherboard, and the analog stick, which costs 43p, and an average of around about £2 for the thumb grips on the controller. So that gives us a grand total of £35.35 cash in hand to buy some more items. So the Nintendo Switch official docks I expect to sell for around about £35 each if I can get them working, so there should be a lot of profit to be made in that item. The Xbox One S 1TB we're going to look at right now. So the most important thing is I have a cup of coffee in my favourite Nintendo Switch schematic cup. This was sent by a very generous viewer, so I really appreciate that. But that is now my favourite cup. So that is the most important thing that we need to be able to make profit, because we need to focus. So this Xbox One S 1TB was listed on eBay, and this has been sold as faulty. Basically, it's got a beep on and beep off issue, which could be absolutely anything, but there should be some nice profit to be made whether or not we can fix this item. So I'm going to try and fix it now, but first of all I'm going to see if the seller's description is accurate. First things first, I have noticed that it does look like someone has been inside this before, so even though the warranty sticker is there, we can see a pry mark there, and someone's definitely slid this case off. I can tell just by the way the case is sitting that it's definitely been slid off in the past. So let's try and turn it on, and let's see if we can get this thing to power up. So there's a sticker on the front of it, which is pretty annoying. Why would you put a sticker on the power button? Huh. Okay. So this turns on for about 5 seconds and then turns back off. So it should be pretty interesting to see if we can figure out what's going on with this. Hopefully we can, and hopefully we should be able to make a decent amount of profit off this. If I'm being honest, I have some Xbox Series controllers, so I have some of these. I paid on eBay for these. This was not part of the challenge, but I paid on eBay for these £20 per controller. These controllers were faulty. I've had to replace the RB and LBs, and I've also had to replace an analog stick on each one. So these cost around about £3 to fix. So if I get this console working, I can put one of these with it for the value of around about £23 in part cost, and I should be able to still make around about £50 profit, maybe a little bit more. So let's get this thing apart. I will skip through this part as usual because it does take a little while to actually get into the console, and of course time is of the essence. So let's skip all of the boring stuff. Okay, so boring stuff out of the way. First thing that I noticed while I was taking this apart is, number one, that it has been apart before. There were 2 screws, I believe, missing, and also part of the plastic, the clips that go around the black base, were snapped. So definitely had someone in here in the past. The hard drive that is included is the official Xbox One S 1TB drive. That's got a few screws stuck to it, but that is the official Xbox One S 1TB drive. Someone has definitely been in here, but the first thing I want to do is just test the hard drive and just see if it's going to work. The reason for that is because if we can't fix this, the majority of the profit is going to be in the hard drive. So a 1TB hard drive roughly goes for around about £25 used. So the majority of our money is going to be in this drive. The disk drive, if we was to sell that, we would probably get somewhere in the region of around about £10, and the same for the power supply, same for the heatsink and fan, and then the case. They don't sell very often, so it might be a little bit difficult, but there's nowhere in the rules that says that we can't hold on to stuff as long as we've got some budget for something else. So basically, if we need to pull back some profit, then we can always sell parts. And at the moment, it is proving rather difficult to sell the Xbox One S digital board. So I'm a bit sad about that, because I thought it would have had some bids by now. There's only around about 3 hours left, but it's got no bids. Okay, that is recognising. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to load up Crystal Disk Info, and I'm going to get a reading on the hard drive. I'm just going to check and make sure the hard drive is good. It is loading up the partitions, as you can hear in the background, so it should be okay. Okay, so those partitions are still loading. Let's load up Crystal Disk Info and get a read of the drive. We do get a good hard drive. Excellent. Okay, so that's reading as it's been powered on 11,787 times. It's about average. And 2,412 hours, which is fairly low for the amount of power on times and the age of the console. So that's fairly low. So going back to the console then, the next important step is to drink some coffee. So I'm going to drink this. I got a little bit carried away. Waiter. Anyway, we have a good hard drive. That's good to know. So there's a very low likelihood that the seller is going to be trying to scam people, because usually when you get a scam on eBay, there's a bad hard drive inside as well. Okay, so with all of the peripherals removed, the first thing I want to do is try and power it on again. So we've got no disk drive, we've got no hard drive. So let's see if it powers on. Don't think the hard drive is going to cause that. the hard drive usually causes 30 seconds and then off. But I also want to see what happens. Okay, so the fan does attempt to spin, so we have got some life there, which means that we've likely got all of the power rails, and that this is going to be an issue with something else. Okay, that's trying to boot up, so that's not going to turn on. But let's try it anyway. So that repeated fan spin means it's in a bit of a power cycle. Yeah, it's not going to try and turn on, unfortunately. Yep, I can hear the speaker going. Yeah, so sometimes it is doing a graceful shutdown. That is normally an issue with the RAM. I'll say this a lot, but that is normally an issue with RAM. So, number one, we're going to check for power rails. So there's not going to be a short on 12 volt. So the 12 volt is going to be the main power input just over here. There's not going to be a short on 12 volt. We are going to get 12 volts. The reason I say that is because it's attempting to turn on. So if we pop the black probe on ground and then probe this point here, we're going to read 12 volts, or roughly 11.92 after voltage dropped across the cable, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. We are getting the correct voltage in. So the reason I say that is because it's attempting to power on. If it's got a short on the 12 volt rail, or if the 12 volt rail is missing, then it's not going to attempt to power on. The power supply will go into protection mode with a short, and if the 12 volt rail was completely missing, so for example the power supply wasn't working, then we wouldn't get any voltage out at all, and it wouldn't attempt to turn on. So 12 volt is there, the power supply is fine, and also I'm expecting the 5 volt rail to be there as well. So we should get 5 volts at all times. We do 5.07, 5.08, we are getting 5 volts out. Next up is going to be 3.3 volt standby. Perfect, we get 3.287. Again, voltage drops, it's within range. 1.8 volt standby. Perfect. And 1.1 volt standby as well. Okay, so we have all the voltage rails, which is exactly what I expected. I expected to have all the voltage rails, and that is exactly what we've got. So all of the important rails are there for the console to turn on. We can also probe a few different points as well. So we can probe this point here, 3.3 volts, 3.3 volts, 3.3 volts. We're getting 3.3 volts pretty much everywhere. Everywhere that we're meant to get it, we're getting it. 12 volts, normal. Five volts, normal. 5, normal. Alright, so I seem to be getting voltage pretty much everywhere, so that's telling me that it's going to be something to do with a component, so something like the RAM, hopefully not the APU, generally something like the RAM. So let's disconnect the power. We don't want to check for shorts or anything like that when there's power going through, because it will read a short. And yeah, we have, I didn't see that. Well, that would have saved me some time. Can you see it? Let me know when you can see it. That would have saved me some time. We have something on that RAM chip there. Okay, well, this just got fun. So I'm going to remove the heatsink. And, ooh. Okay. That's not good. That could potentially be really, really bad. Well, the good news is it doesn't appear as though anyone has attempted anything stupid like reflowing the RAM. or reflowing the APU. Reflowing the RAM wouldn't be so bad, but we definitely have an issue with this RAM chip just here. So there's definitely some sort of food stuff. I'm not really sure what it is, but there's something on that RAM chip, but it's also gone over here as well. So now that I know where to look, I need to sort it out. The way that I'm going to sort it out is by, first of all, putting it through the ultrasonic cleaner. I cannot stress this enough. The ultrasonic cleaner is a technician's best friend. What it's going to do, and I'm actually going to heat it up while I'm talking, but what the ultrasonic cleaner is going to do is it's going to basically get underneath every single chip and it's going to clean it out. So basically it's going to clean anything that might be under the chip. Well, not anything, but most things, and then it might work afterwards, it might not. But if it doesn't work, because the ultrasonic cleaner has been used and most of whatever is under there will be gone, we might get away with reflowing the RAM chip rather than replacing it, because most of whatever's under there is gone, and then the flux that I use to reflow the chip is going to get rid of anything else. It's going to wash it out, and basically when the solder becomes molten, it's going to reform those joints. So I'm going to leave the ultrasonic cleaner to heat up, but while I'm doing that, I am going to clean off the thermal paste, and I'm also going to try and clean as much of this as I possibly can. We might get lucky here. We might actually be able to fix this. So I could have just done a visual inspection first before I checked the voltage rails. It would have saved me a little bit of time. But I'm going to clean up this thermal paste here, and I'm also going to give this a little bit of a scrub as well, because the ultrasonic cleaner is going to take about 15 minutes to warm up to temperature where it's actually going to be effective. You need the ultrasonic cleaner to be at least 40 degrees Celsius to be able to be effective, ideally. It's not going to do anything if the solution is cold. So I've put some isopropyl alcohol on the APU. The reason I do this is because I don't really want the thermal paste to end up inside the ultrasonic cleaner, because it just makes a mess and it means I have to change the solution more often. That costs more money. The solution I use is just basically isopropyl alcohol and distilled water, and then I've got a process which I use for drying off the board afterwards. I'm going to give this a real good scrub now. So this RAM chip as well, this is the chip that's got the gunk on it, and actually, okay, so there might not actually be anything underneath. It could be these resistors, could be these components here. Well, I'm going to leave the ultrasonic cleaner going, but one way to test and see if these components are actually soldered and that they're not damaged is to just flick them with tweezers. It seems strong enough. So let's just see if we get any kind of readings. So I'm going to set my multimeter up into resistance mode, and I'm going to pop one probe on each end of the resistor. Let's just see if we get a reading here. And we get 243 ohms, which seems around about normal. Resistance increases when you've got a faulty component. It's whether or not they're actually connected. Got to be careful here. The traces here are so small. I keep slipping with the probe as well. We've got 500 ohms on that one. That seems normal. I don't think it would be that low if it was faulty. Okay, so I'll just inspect a few areas. A few key areas which are crucial. So this is a common area to fail, where the RAM driver is. We had that issue on the last board. So what I'm looking for as I'm going along is any signs that there's been any damage or any kind of residue anywhere. And that all seems not perfectly fine, but it seems okay. So I'm still waiting for the ultrasonic cleaner to warm up, so I'll resume when that's ready. While I'm doing that, just off camera, I'm just going to check and see if I've got a free disc. Nope, no free disc. Oh well, sometimes you do. Right, so just here I have a 3 litre GT Sonic Ultrasonic cleaner, and inside there the solution, like I said, is distilled water and isopropyl alcohol. 3 litres isopropyl alcohol to 1 litre of distilled. And I'm going to grab the board and I'm going to drop it in like this. So this is going to clean half of the board at a time, and then I've got to flip the board around and clean it again. But I'm going to skip through this process because it's going to take around about half an hour. I'm going to go and refill my coffee while this is running. So I'll see you in 2 seconds. Right then, ladies and gents, this is done. So just come out the ultrasonic cleaner, as you can see, and now I've got a certain process which I need to do to get rid of the water, because the ultrasonic cleaner does contain distilled water, and if I was to try and power it on now, then it's going to be pointless putting it in the ultrasonic cleaner because there's still water on the board. So I'm going to put the board outside because I don't want to blast the air gun in the workshop. So excusing the bad lighting and all of the junk on my workbench, it's just parts, I promise. So I've got myself a gun here, bang bang, all of that good stuff. So this is going to blast air. This is really, really powerful, which is why I don't want it in the workshop, because it will blow absolutely everything all over the place. Okay, so with that done, probably shouldn't have used that at this time of night. It's after midnight. Oh well. Anyway, so with that done, let's just give it a quick visual inspection under the microscope, and let's take a look at what it looks like now. So this is the specific RAM chip that looks all messy, and the white stuff is basically just drying isopropyl alcohol because I've blasted it with air. That's perfectly normal. So you can see we've got those dodgy resistors there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the BGA station for 5 minutes just to make sure that it's all dry. So behind me here is a BGA station. This is basically designed for removing big chips from the board. Obviously I don't want to do that, but I want to dry the board. I want to make sure it's fully dry. So I'm going to put it onto the machine. I'm going to make sure that the top plate is out of the way, and I'm just going to run the machine, and the bottom plate is going to heat up, and it's going to heat the board up evenly to around about 150 degrees Celsius, which is safe enough. It's nowhere near lead-free solder melting point, so it's safe enough to do as long as it's controlled. And obviously I'm going to be sitting here and I'm going to be watching it. So I'm going to heat the board up and dry it fully, because doing it this way means I haven't got to wait 24 hours for it to dry naturally. I don't want to wait 24 hours. I want to fix it now. I want to have it sold in 24 hours. That is the bottom line. So I want to have it sold in 24 hours, not having to diagnose the fault in 24 hours. So I'm going to leave this for 5 minutes. I'm going to enjoy my fresh cup of coffee while this is drying. Right, okay, so I'm going to press the stop button. As you can see, I'll let it get to 200 degrees Celsius on the bottom plate. The board is pretty hot right now. So I'm going to let the board cool down. I'll turn the process off, and then we'll give it a test. So while I'm waiting for it to cool down, I'm just going to prep a few things. So one thing I noticed is that the heatsink is fairly clean. So that could have been why it's been opened in the past. I can't say that anyone's attempted to repair this. And the reason for that is because, well, it still had all the gunk on it, and someone would have noticed that. So anyone who's attempting to repair it would have noticed that there was something all over the board. But hopefully they didn't attempt to repair. I don't think they would have done. And let's try and turn it on. Let's see what happens. Okay, we get an initial fan spin. Are we going to get another fan spin? Yes, I don't think this is going to work. No. Nope. Unlucky. The APU is powering on. The APU is getting warm, so that is turning on. I don't think that's dead, which is good news. So my initial thoughts here then is that the RAM chip in particular, or the components around it, are bad or not soldered properly in the case of the components. So I'm going to reflow that specific area. So I'm going to get some flux. So I'm using MG Chemicals 8341. That's no clean flux, and that basically means that I haven't got to worry about getting all of the flux from underneath the RAM chip. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to reflow this area using hot air. So I've got my hot air set to 420 degrees Celsius. So I'll go under the microscope so you can see it. So this is the RAM chip that we was having issues with. So I've got 420 degrees Celsius at 40% airflow. I believe that's 40 litres per minute. The Atten 862D goes on percent, not on litres per minute. I'm just going to heat up the general area, and then I'm going to start to reflow the chip. I'm also going to focus on this area here. I can smell a little bit of funk, but when this chip heats up, I'm going to give it a tap. Something's under there. Yeah, the chip is still solid. So that RAM chip has got to come off. Yeah, that was never going to work. That was never going to work. That RAM chip is gone. Oh yes, it's gone. Okay, so we need to replace this RAM. So I'm going to add some more flux. Now the question is it just that RAM chip, or are others gone as well? Have we got corrosion underneath other ones, or any signs of liquid underneath the other ones? That's going to be the question. We're not going to know until we replace this and then try and turn it on, whether we've got to do anything else. So the first thing I'm going to do then is take some leaded solder and basically just replace the solder that's on here with leaded. I'm going to very, very gently go across these pads. So I want to replace the solder, but I don't want to damage the pads. And this is going to take a little bit to clean off. So there was no way the ultrasonic cleaner was going under that. That's for sure. So I'm going to try scrubbing it a little bit first. I do have a couple of tricks up my sleeve if needed. I need to get all of this off. And whatever's left, once I've scrubbed it, should come off with Wick. Wick is a very, very good cleaner, even for stuff like damage like this. The reason is because it acts as an abrasive and it basically scrapes everything off. But a Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol works just as well. I think we might have some damaged pads here. Wait, is that pads off the... That's pads off the RAM. Wow. Yeah, that's RAM pads. That's nuts. It actually took the pads. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it took the pads clean off. Look at that. That RAM was gone. There was no way that RAM was ever working. So now that the pads are clean enough, or rather the area is clean enough, we should be able to get enough leaded solder on here to lower the melting temperature. Alright, so I'm going to take some wick now, so some solder braid. And I'm going to clean the pads completely. So I'm going to very gently go across with some solder braid. Just cleaning the solder off. The solder braid is going to suck it up. It's basically just copper. This is the nitty gritty stuff that I enjoy. BGA rework. Very gentle because these pads are not very strong. And they're probably weakened by the fact that we've got damage to it. So we're going to take our time. Alright, let's inspect. So I'll clean up. Okay, we do have some damage here. Okay, so is that... I'm not sure. That should be fine. There are, of course, still a few pads which need cleaning. Let's just inspect and figure out which ones they're going to be. So that one will bond solder. Okay, I think that's as good as I'm going to get it, because if I do any more, I'm probably going to damage traces. Don't want to damage traces. Jumper wires under a BGA of this magnitude, it's not easy. So I think I'm going to settle for that. Okay, so the part number on this RAM has got a match, and the part number on this specific RAM is SEC819. So I'm going to find a donor chip that matches. It's got a match, and there are various different ones. So I'm going to scan through some of these and find the correct RAM chip. Okay, so I've got myself a SEC731. So no, this is not the correct RAM chip, but basically if I reball this and it doesn't work, then essentially what I can do is replace every single RAM chip with the 731 series, and basically that will just change the RAM model. Don't know if this is going to work. I severely doubt it is. Ah, perfect. Perfectly reballed. Okay, so I'm just going to get the excess solder balls from around the edge. Okay, let's have a look. Beautiful. Looks as good as new. Alright, so as you can see, it's the SEC731. So it's not the proper chip. But if it doesn't work, then I'll probably be putting one of these ones where every single RAM chip is. So I'm just going to get that in position. That's roughly in place. Surface tension should take care of the rest. Add a little bit of flux. And let's solder this chip, shall we? I've got a really low airflow at the minute, 10%, 420 degrees Celsius. Now the chip seems to have sat down. I've just run out of my no clean flux by the look of it. And squeeze every last drop out. And back to a higher airflow, 40%. And there you go, did you see that sit down? That's in place. Beautiful. Couldn't have asked for that to go any better. But that looks like it's lined up. Okay, time to test. Yes, I did search all them RAM chips there. Literally. Checked every single one. Didn't have the right one. Don't think this is going to work, I'm going to be honest. Okay. Let's just see if it wants to turn on. We don't get that second fan spin. Okay, that might be working. Now I'm actually nervous. It's working. It's working! Yes! Yes! Oh my god, wow. I've just mixed and matched the RAM. I've put the wrong RAM chip on it, it's working. It's a 731. It's not an 81. I'm not joking. Look, no jump cuts. No jump cuts. This is going to turn off in a second. But look. The fan's spinning. It's going to turn off in a second. There's no hard drive. It's 731. 819. It's just turned off because there's no hard drive. I've just mixed and matched the RAM and it's working. Holy hell. I did not expect that to work. I'm not even joking. I did not expect that to work. Wow. Oh my god. Well, that's just answered the age-old question of can you mix the RAM? And what's more, there was solder stuck under the board. It's in low resolution mode. It's working. I'm not even joking when I say I did not expect that to work. I really didn't. I've never mixed and matched RAM. But apparently it works. I've got some batteries. And this has stayed on. Wow. I am... Honestly, I'm not even joking when I say I'm gobsmacked. Display. Okay, it's still only in 640 by 480. It could have... Oh, hold up a minute. Okay, that was weird. Huh. Okay, now it's acting weird. We've got graphical glitches. That's the RAM. It's got to be the RAM. Oh, we were so close. We were so close. I'm pretty sure that's got to be the RAM. I don't think it's going to be the encoder. That's crazy how that actually turns on for a second though. Right, well, I guess it's on to tomorrow then. We're going to replace every RAM chip. We're going to do this properly. And we're going to get this thing fully working. Or I'm going to die trying. On to tomorrow. So it's been a couple of days and unfortunately I couldn't find a RAM chip that would match the ones that are on this board. So I started asking around, and also at the same time I had every intention of replacing every single RAM chip. So what I did was I sat there and I reballed some of the RAM. So I've actually got 8 RAM chips here, which I reballed. So all of these ones here are reballed, and then these ones here are not. So basically I was going to replace all 16 RAM chips. And then the absolute legend Andrew Henderson, huge thank you to Andrew. He's a long-term viewer of the channel. He's very supportive of the community, and right now he's my new favourite person because he went through his box of bits and he found me some RAM. This is the RAM that I need, and he even went ahead and reballed it. What an absolute legend. Big thank you to Andrew. Thank you, mate. I really do appreciate it. So he kindly gifted me that, so I said I owe him a favour. If he needs anything, of course, I'm going to be there to help him out because he has done me a huge favour here. So I'm going to get this RAM replaced with the correct RAM. I still can't believe that it's actually turned on. But I'm going to replace it with the correct RAM, and hopefully then this console's going to work and we can actually sell it. Now, I know I said it's been a few days, but unfortunately the Xbox One digital board still hasn't sold. I've relisted it, and it might sell the weekend. I've got someone who's interested in it the weekend, and also it is on eBay as well. So hopefully it will sell pretty soon. And I'm still waiting on the other things that I've brought as well. Okay, so I'm going to get this open back up. Just take off this X clamp. Again, I can't believe that Andrew actually found some. I've got boxes and boxes full of donor boards, and I could not find a matching board. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. So the offending RAM chip was this one here. I'll show you that under the microscope again really quickly. So you can see there, a little bit out of focus, but you can see there we've got the SEC 819, and then right next to that we've got the 731. So we need to replace this 731 with an 819. So I'm going to get that removed. Same way that I did it before. Just going to get it removed and clean it up, ready to replace with the correct RAM chip. I do believe that this is what's causing the random shutdowns. Okay, so there's the old RAM chip removed. So let's wick this solder away. This is ready solder, so I don't need to replace it with fresh solder. It should be fine to just wick away as it is. Add some flux to the equation. You don't need to add it to the wick. That's just where I ended up putting the nozzle for the flux. Let's wick it away. Okay, I'm using the wrong tip here, so I'm going to use some hot air to assist me. There we go. So I'll clean that up. So it's going to be exactly the same process, it's just replacing the RAM again. We seem to have an issue here with one of these pads. Yeah, I seem to have lost a pad there. That sucks. I actually seem to have lost 2. No. Oh wow, there's a few there gone. That's not good, is it? Could that be why it was randomly shutting down? Okay, right. Well, let's try and fix these then. Right, so I'm going to have to scrape some of these traces back. That one will be fine. That one's fine. That one's fine. That one's fine. So it is just this one, actually. So the reason I'm saying they're fine is because basically there's still a contact there for the pad. And there's still going to be continuity. I will check them, but there should still be continuity. So I'm going to need to restore this one. But the others should be okay. Just had a little bit of flux there. Just pop a little bit of solder there. And then I'm going to need to take some pretty thin jumper wire here. So this jumper wire is literally 0.0 6-7 millimeters. Or to put that in more of a term that most people will understand, it's the width of a human hair. And that is no joke. I'm just going to tin some of this here, just run the iron over it. And then just tack it down. So there's a jumper wire there, but obviously it's not going to be secure because when we use hot air on that, it's basically going to go flying. We don't want that. So we trim it there. And then what I need to do is basically just loop it around. So I'm actually going to clean it first. Just clean the area. And then just very gently, just going to scrub away with a cotton swab with some isopropyl alcohol on it. Or rather on the board. So like I said, this is literally the width of a human hair. It's not very strong. So we're going to be careful here not to snap it. Won't be the end of the world, I'll just do it again, but I'd rather not. And then I'm just going to loop it around so it makes a circle to form a new pad. Just like that. And then the jumper wire is already tinned, so what that means is that it's already conductive, so when I drop the new chip on, it should make a bond. But to secure it, I'm going to need to use some conformal coating and just basically glue this down on the edge. Just here. There we go, that's fine. Then I'm going to use my UV pen just to cure that. Okay, and now when we use hot air, that shouldn't go anywhere. Just make sure it's actually hardened, and it did. Cool. Excellent. So now I'll take one of these two chips that he sent me. As you can see, it's freshly reballed. So again, massive thank you to Andrew. Honestly, I don't know where I'd be without him. SEC 819. Awesome. Just get that in line. Add some flux. Okay, so now I've melted the flux, I'm going to drop that there. Alright, that appears to be roughly in line. I hope it is. So the chip wobbled around a little bit, so it should be good. Awesome. Alright, let's get this cleaned up and back together. So because of the complexity of this repair, I'm probably not going to be able to get anything else in this episode, but I am waiting on stuff to come anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll just do this one repair in this episode, and then we'll obviously work on something else when it turns up. And in the meantime, it means I can wait for things to come and also try and sell this. This shouldn't be an issue to sell. Shouldn't have a problem selling this at all. So let's see if it works. We get the Xbox logo. Doesn't appear to be any glitching on the screen, but it did do that last time. So we need to confirm that it actually works. I've plugged an Ethernet cable in just to make sure that we get network connectivity because I haven't plugged in the Wi-Fi card. So that means that I'll be able to update it. It has gone back to a 640 by 480, which is weird. It was doing that before. It's shut down again. Oh no. That sucks. I don't think it's going to be the RAM. Honestly. It could be the retimer. So I'll try and change the retimer. Okay, that was weird. That didn't feel like it was lead-free solder, that's for certain. Could it have been the retimer that was causing it to shut off all along? So the RAM was definitely causing the beep on and off issue, but could it be that someone's installed a faulty retimer or that heat has killed it? Who knows? Okay. That's acceptable. No. I think I'll go take a loss on this. That's going to suck. That sucks. That really does suck. Oh, wow. I'm gutted. Well, it's looking like we've got to take a loss on this one, I'm afraid. I think I'm going to call this a loss. Well, not a loss. I mean, I can make some money back over time. The hard drive, I do need a 1 terabyte hard drive. I am going to need a 1 terabyte hard drive because I'm building myself an Xbox One X. So I might be able to salvage that. So looking on the sold listings then, it seems like when they're on bids they go low, but when they're on buy it now, they seem to go around about £20, I would say. 18 to £25 on buy it now. Okay, so we'll round that up. I'll say £20. So I'm going to put £20 out of my own pocket on this. So I'll put £20 out of my own pocket. I'll buy this hard drive off myself because I need a hard drive. I need a 1 terabyte hard drive to build into my Xbox One X. So I'm going to give myself £20 for this hard drive. And basically, that'll put £20 back in the kitty. I think that's probably reasonable to do. Between 18 and 25, so I'll round it to 20. I think that's fair. It's a fair price to give. So I'll put £20 back in the kitty on that. The rest of the stuff, I mean, can I sell the donor board? I don't know, but I do buy donor boards myself, hence why I've got so many of them. Usually the value at around about £15 to £25. So basically, I could whack this on eBay, this donor board, and as long as I'm honest on what's been done, then it should be fine. I can try and sell it. I don't know whether I will be able to, but the power supply I might be able to get £10 for. The heating and fan I might get £10 for. The front panel I might get £5 for. I mean, these front panels I always need these, so I'm actually going to buy this off myself for £5. I think that's reasonable. That's just made a random beep. Power supplies I don't really need, so I'll probably put that on eBay. And the donor board I'll probably put on eBay as well. So, actually, no, I am going to buy this donor board. No, I am. I'm sorry, but I am going to buy this donor board. And the reason for that is it's got the 819 RAM on it, and I haven't got any. I've got one chip there, and you saw that I did struggle. So, this and the heatsink and fan I'll put on eBay. The hard drive and the donor board I'm going to buy. I'm going to give myself £15 for that. I think it's reasonable. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the state of this HDMI retimer, but I'll test it at some point. I'll put it onto a board. So I'm going to give £35 back for the hard drive And for the donor board, that's going to go into my pile. The rest of it, the case, the power supply, the front panel, the Wi-Fi panel, and the fan, I'm going to put on eBay, and I'm going to try and get some money back on those. But that being said, £35, I think that's fair, and I'm not really losing any money. I think £15 is reasonable for a donor board. You know, I'll speak to a few friends, I'll see what they say, but I think it's reasonable. Okay, so unfortunately, it looks like I'm not going to be able to fix this. I might have a little play around with it. I've got 10 weeks left. This is only episode number 2. I could have a little play with it, you know, see what I can do with it. Maybe replace all the RAM just for fun. And if I get it working, then great. Then I'll just put the 1TB drive back. I don't need this drive yet because the 2 Xbox One X's I'm building, one of them I'm putting a normal 1TB in, and the other one I'm putting a 1TB SSD in. The 1TB SSD is going in a Gold Rush limited edition, and this one will go into a Robot White limited edition one, and they're going into my collection. I think £20 is a reasonable price for a working Xbox One. Well, just for a working 1TB hard drive. I can't say fairer than that. I always need hard drives doing what I do, so I really can't say fairer than that. £20, I'm going to put back in the kitty. I will speak to some friends about the board and see what they think, see whether they think that it's been unreasonable or if I should try and sell it on eBay. I'm not really that fussed. I'm not really going to lose money, I don't think, because I mean I paid £37 for this or something. I've given £20 back for the hard drive. I don't think I'm going to lose money. I'm not going to make money, but I'm not going to lose it either. So that's going to be for episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Unfortunately, there was a no fix on this. I have got other stuff on the way. We'll find out whether we managed to get some stuff working in episode number 3. I'll see you all next week. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.